Councilor Janik.
Present.
Councilor Edwards.
Present.
Councilor DiMederos.
Present.
Councilor Burk.
Present.
Councilor Milburn is absent.
Consent agenda. Approval of town council minutes. March 13th, regular meeting, Councilor Perry abstains, absent. March 13th, executive session, Councilor Perry abstains, absent. Acknowledge the receipts and minutes from boards, commissions, and committees. The Litter Control Committee 1, Historical Cemetery Commission 1, Historical Preservation Advisory Board 1, Harbor Commission 1, Budget Committee 2, Zoning Board of Appeals 1, Planning Boards of Appeals 1. Acknowledge receipts and reports from the Treasurer, February 2023, Budget and Revenue Reports, Bacasset Hill Cemetery 2022 Annual Report, Newport Mental Health 2022 Annual Report. Acknowledge receipts of correspondence from the Town of Hopkins. Resolution in support of H6119, an act relating to human services, medical assistance. Town of Burryville, resolution in opposition of environmental, social, and governing investing. Town of Burryville, resolution in opposition of Bill 2023 H5461 relating to elections, registration of voters. Armenian National Committee requesting flight to be flown on April 24th, 2023, and which we already did, I imagine, for Genocide Remembrance Day.
We didn't do it yet.
Oh, April, I'm sorry, guys. Anyone would like to take anything from the agenda? Like to entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Unanimous. Introduction of the new Tiverton School Resource Officer, Jacqueline Smaldone. Police chief is here.
Yeah, no, it's your first time. You're going to go right there and you're going to face the crowd. All right. Turn that way. Look at everybody. Stay right there. You're good. So, Madam President, members of the Town Council, and citizens of the Town of Tiverton, it is my honor and my privilege to introduce to you Officer Jacqueline Smaldone, who is our new School Resource Officer for the Town of Tiverton. Officer Smaldone has been with the Police Department since July of 2021. She comes from an extensive background and experience in mental health and in working with children. We are honored and privileged and very fortunate to have her as our new School Resource Officer.
Jacqueline, your resume is very, very impressive, and I'm thrilled you're going to be part of this now and looking forward to all the great things you're going to do. So thank you for joining us. Public comments. Jamie French, Zoning and AQ. Jamie, we just need you to say your name and your address, please.
Yes, Jamie French. I live at 48 Craig Avenue, and I wanted to talk tonight. I wanted to talk tonight about the zoning because we're doing a zoning rewrite, but it happens that the crematorium zoning is on the issue tonight, and I do hope that you do pass that amendment to not allow crematoriums in any districts or zones in the town of Tiverton. But I mostly came here because I wanted to talk about the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan is our zoning. And so if we rewrite our zoning without rewriting our comprehensive plan, we're not going to accomplish very much. It states right in the comprehensive plan that the town will take appropriate steps to ensure that the zoning ordinance and zoning map are consistent with the future land use plan as illustrated in figure 5.4, and the state agrees. So when you look at the, and when you go to planning meetings, people are building to the future land use map. And so they may be planning what over what the zoning allows, but they're given automatic variances because of the future land use map exceeds what the zoning says. And if you look at the future land use map, it's very confusing because the existing land use for medium density is in an orange-brown color. But the future land use map uses that exact same color, but they use it for high density. And there's a big difference. So when you look at the maps, they look like there aren't any changes. But in reality, medium density has now been bumped up to high density, which is very misleading. And high density, we're talking about the whole area from Sousa Road to State Line. That whole area is now zoned less than 1/8 acre per residential unit. It also does not talk at all about single-family homes. It does not encourage single-family homes in high-density units. What it recommends is that Tiverton builds high-density, multi-family condo-style units, and that's what we're getting. And so if you change the zoning without changing the comprehensive plan, we could have no new single-family homes in North Tiverton.
We realize that.
What?
We realize that they join each
I'm
other.
well, a lot of people don't seem to realize that. And I mean, I grew up here, and when the forced commercial zoning was forced on us back in the 60s, it changed our residential homes, our woods, and our farms on Main Road into a commercial district, which we did not want. Immediately, the homes began being removed so that they could build commercial structures. We did not ask for this high density. Prior to this 60s change, the town of Tiverton had the exact same zoning throughout the entire town. And we looked exactly the same everywhere you went. But as soon as they forced that zoning on us, all of a sudden, the north end became density, high density. And then people go, oh, it's because it's so close to Fall River. And it's like, no, that's not because it's so close to Fall River. It's because of the zoning was forced upon us. And if you look at the maps on like I live in a wetland, and it says I live in a wetland, and on your previous future existing land use maps, I lived in a wet area, a wetland. But according to the future land use map, there is no wetlands in all of North Tiverton. Not one. They've all been removed from the map. And that says, therefore, there are no open space opportunities or conservation in the north end or in North Tiverton. That's not true. It's unfortunately, as the zoning changed, the developers put all of the artesian waters and springs into pipes, and they're all underground. And growing up where I was the first house on Brackett Avenue as a child, when it was a dirt road and mailboxes up on Main Road. And there was water everywhere. There is so much spring water in the north end. It comes out of the ground around 110 foot elevation mark.
Jamie, you have about 1 more minute.
Okay, so anyway, I would like to see, with the zoning changes and comprehensive plan, I would like to see that we have conservation land and open space. We should change the industrial park to open space and protect our own water supply. It's in the newspaper, we're protecting Newport's water supply. How about our water supply on Stafford Road? How about if we just leave the industrial park as it is and leave it as a walking trail and for animals? And there's still woods left in Stafford Road area and in North Tiverton that we should use for open land and conservation. Anyway, that's about it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Chris Reposer. I just need you to state your name and your address.
Chris Raposo, and live in 200 Fatima Drive, Somerset, Massachusetts. So basically, I just wanted to hope that you make a decision that the home show would be taking place in Tiverton. We have a great event already lined up, sold out house in terms of vendors. We have 5 of the vendors are from this area, and many people in the area are already very excited about this. So I hope you take in consideration that this is going to be a very wholesome event.
Chris, we are going to put you on the next agenda. I did talk to the fire marshal, and he said he had a nice meeting with you and Ian, and you were the event coordinators, and he received all the floor plans and all the necessary documentation. No date has been set for inspection yet, but he said that he's sure that you will eventually when you set it up. He said that the event will require a detail, and that's per the state fire marshal.
Right.
And other than that, we were waiting for the court decision, which came in on Friday. We weren't sure that court decision was going to be more than a few days, because sometimes the judge waits on it. So it will be at the next agenda, I guarantee that. And the fire marshal said that you've done everything you need to. So as far as I'm concerned, you've done all the necessary paperwork. So
We have, yes, we met.
So Danny said the only thing you need to do is set up an inspection with him once you get it all set up.
Very good. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're welcome. Dan Riley, Longplex event application.
Thank you, Madam President. Daniel Riley, 11 Hawthorne Ave, Barrington, on behalf of Longplex. So to the extent I have a question about how this is going to be calendared, I think you just answered it. But just to be clear, are you saying that for the next meeting, we're going to have the hearing and the vote?
Yes.
Could
Yes.
we, so I would ask that the council have the hearing tonight since the applicants are here.
I can't because it's not on the agenda, and I've been advised by counsel, but it's no big deal. We'll just,
Even if there's not a vote, just for discussion purposes?
correct,
You're gonna-
because I didn't advertise the hearing, so people weren't notified that this is taking place. But I don't think there'll be a problem with the hearing and the vote at the same time.
Well, I don't foresee there being a problem with either. My concern is that this is now that will be the third meeting that the applicants will have attended, looking for some resolution here.
Is the second one.
No,
as
this
far-
is the second. That would
it
be the
wasn't on
Oh,
third.
it
the
would,
agenda
but
tonight,
it
so that was
wasn't
their
on the
choice.
agenda tonight.
It was
so-
my. So the motion that the solicitor had made, that suggested that you make, that you adopted the previous meeting, was that it be placed on the agenda pending the resolution of the court case.
Yeah, I have it right here. So I asked for it to be tabled. The solicitor explained that the town filed a motion to stay the findings of the zoning board, which would be heard on March 24th. If the court grants the stay, the zoning board would be invalid. Councilor Edwards motioned to table to not a date certain, and Councilor Burk seconded. There was not a date certain. This was going to be heard Friday by the judge. During the agenda meeting, I was advised that this may not, the judge may sit on it and may make a decision by Monday or Tuesday. I have to get the agenda out by Thursday, and that is why it's not on the agenda. But this doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. It's going to be on the next agenda with the hearing.
I understand.
I've been criticized by some council members that stuff is put on the agenda that is not ready for a decision. It was not. I anticipated it might not be ready for a decision.
Okay, Madam President, I respectfully would suggest that in the future that it simply be placed on the agenda. It could always be tabled again if it were not ripe for discussion. What this has created is a situation where we're getting closer and closer to the event days. The applicants have to make investment, they have to market, they have to get the logistics finalized. The closer we push this out to the actual day of the event, the less tenable these events will be. And that hurts my client's business, that hurts the applicant's
Well, I do have to
business.
say that this is usually advertised way before it even comes to us, and sometimes it doesn't even come to us. I do want to make it very clear that I know that you've accused me of ordering for this not to be on the agenda. There are 4 people here that were present at the agenda meeting. I did not order that it not be here. We had a conversation and a consensus on whether or not this should be on the agenda. It's not made just by me. The vice president is here, the solicitor, and the town administrator. We have a general discussion and a consensus on whether or not I should put it on there. So, like I said, I've done my homework on the home show. I know exactly, and I did it way before this. I know exactly there's no problem with this right now. I don't foresee the council will not say yes to this, but I cannot say whether that'll happen or not. But I did do my homework. I do know that everything has been put in, and that's all I have to say. But the last time, not very many people no one came to oppose this. So I don't foresee that the open session will take more than a couple of minutes with an approval.
Okay.
Or a non-approval. I can't
Sure,
speak
yeah,
for the council.
I follow. I'm
But
not
I
asking
did
you
do
to.
my homework,
Okay.
and I did check to see if there was going to be any kinks in this. I was told no, that this is what, and I just talked to the gentleman that's running it. I understand that Christine has been very cooperative, got everything in on time, and I don't foresee there's going to be a problem with this.
Okay, and just so I'm clear, are we also talking about, in terms of you, the council being prepared and have the adequate documentation, does this also carry through for the other event, the consignment sale?
Well, if you want to discuss that, I have talked to the fire marshal. No one has contacted him yet.
Okay.
There's 31 days requirement to contact him, so they better do it quick.
Well, I'm not sure if the 31 days requirement, we've discussed with the fire marshal a 30-day advance notice.
Advance notice.
For him to be briefed
Right.
and filed with the application, which he received 30 days prior. There is no requirement in the ordinance or anywhere else stating he has to have a meeting with an applicant 31 days prior to an
Well,
event.
he was concerned that he hadn't had a meeting yet.
We will ensure that he has that
Okay.
meeting set up.
Other than that, I haven't yet heard anything else. The fire marshal said that he's going to meet with the applicant and that he'll be prepared at the next meeting to discuss this. But so far, I don't see a problem with this either, except that there needs to be some kind of discussion with the fire marshal.
Okay.
The only thing that concerns me is the fire marshal just doesn't have the long plex things to approve. He has a lot of things going on in town right now.
I understand.
So he just wants to make sure that everyone's aware of that, and so he can't do last minute kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So-
and we'll make sure it doesn't bog him down.
Okay, and also the Cosmicon, he doesn't yet have a final inspection. So if somebody wants to call him and set up a final inspection, he is leaving town at 11 o'clock on Saturday. So he just wanted me to tell you that that he does have a timeline for that. But he said as far as Cosmicon, he does need to do the final inspection.
Okay.
And he doesn't have a setup time yet.
All right, we'll make sure that gets on his calendar
Okay.
this week then.
And that, yes.
Just one other thing, I'm sure you're aware of this, Attorney Riley. The judge did recommend to the council that we include a condition in any approval that the license is subject to the outcome of the appeal, and that if the court overturns the decision of the zoning board, that the license is immediately revoked. So we haven't decided that, but that's the recommendation of the judge, is my understanding.
I understand, Vice President Burke. My interpretation of the judge's comments was that that was a possibility for the council to do that.
Mm-hmm.
The judge was not aware of the timeline of the events, and so I think, especially with the town's proposed briefing schedule in the appeal, that would just be untenable and impractical for a number of reasons. For these applicants, certainly, and for others, definitely. We're talking about a proceeding that's going to last months. And so that if we follow that direction, certainly if a license were granted conditionally upon, a judge ever stepping in and issuing a court order, I don't think it would have to be conditional. The court order would be suffice to stop an event. I think there are a lot of ways we can thread that needle, but to suggest that the appeal has to be resolved in order for an event to happen.
No, that's not what I read.
No, but that's what the judge was suggesting in that comment. That wasn't his ruling in the case. He was saying that the council could conditionally approve a license pending the appeal being.
No, my understanding was if the appeal was heard and decided upon.
Right.
And it was not in Longplex's favor, then we could have that as a condition to revoke. Not that we were waiting forever for the appeal.
No, I understand. I understand. The issue is that it would be forever, because for the appeal to be heard, for or against us, for or against the town, that's going to be well after these events.
Right,
So,
and so, just to be clear, right, what I'm reading is not suggesting what you're stating.
Okay.
What I'm reading is suggesting that if the council wanted to,
yes.
the judge indicates that it's okay with him that we put a condition on that if the appeal is heard and determined, and that
I
does not
follow,
go in
yeah.
Longplex's favor, then we
Sure.
should have that condition that the event gets revoked.
Yeah, and in that construct, we wouldn't have any issue with that, certainly.
Could I suggest something?
Certainly.
I'm sure that Mr. Long knows what's coming up, like other anticipated events during the summer and spring. I've encouraged this in the past, come to us really early so that we don't meet these deadlines the way we are now. So if he knows that something's coming up, bring it to us like 2 months in advance.
Certainly.
And then that would work out so much better, and then we wouldn't have this air of incorporation that we're not trying to.
No, I completely agree, Madam
Okay.
President. We will do our best to get the applications to the town, to the clerk's office, so it can be distributed to the departments as early as possible in every case. I would suggest that these 3 applications in particular have been complicated by the fact that the town filed its motion. I had no power over that. I certainly didn't file it, and that created the issue at the previous meeting and has led to the situation.
Yeah, I do understand that, but he knew, well, I imagine that they knew in February that they were going to be planning this. Or maybe not. But all I'm saying is to bring it to us as early as possible, so
Certainly.
we don't meet these deadlines and cause this kind of controversy in the past.
Certainly, that's more
In the
than
future.
fair as a request. So just so I'm clear, and then I'll sit down, leave you to the rest of your meeting. So this will be for the April 10th meeting. It'll be scheduled for discussion and vote on the 2 applications that were tabled.
Is it April 10th?
Yes.
Okay, in my
That would
mind, I
be the
keep
next
thinking
meeting.
April
That's fine.
13th.
The next
but-
meeting would be
Yes,
2 weeks
yes.
out. Okay.
And it's already on my plan to put it on there.
Okay, all right. I have details on parking and the other issues that were raised at the previous meeting. I will hold that for the April 10th meeting
Perfect.
so we can discuss in that format, okay?
Perfect.
All right, thank you.
Is there a way you could get those details to us before the meeting in writing, and then it'd be less questions and looking at it?
Certainly, we can do that.
Okay, thank you. All right, and there's one more. Dr. Robert Bishop, pollution, mercury for crematorium toxins. Welcome, Dr. Bishop. I just need you to say your name and address. We usually limit it to like 5 minutes, if that's
Plenty
okay
of
with you.
time.
Okay.
Plenty of time. Thank you, Council. My name's Dr. Robert Bishop. I live at 81 Lee Shore Lane here in Tiverton. New residents community, love Tiverton. I have a very technical background. I'm educated at MIT and Harvard. 40 years experience in medicine and engineering and 27 patents granted globally. And I'm here to talk over 3 minutes about a lot of the serious dangers with the crematorium. 3 minutes max. Okay. So what I did is I did a technical research. This is not my opinion. National Library of Medicine, National Institute of Health, and EPA. All right. Everything I say are quotes from that. I'll be providing documentation to the committee this week. I've already given documentation to the planning board. All right. So I'm going to quote here. First of all, this is from National Library of Medicine. Mercury emissions are affected by the presence of amalgams during the cremation process. During cremation, these things get heated. They go into the environment. Next article, dangers of mercury exposure, National Institute of Health, Library of Medicine. During cremation, mercury evaporates into the air. Quote, mercury is a highly toxic element. There is no known safe level of exposure. Mercury exposure can cause acute and chronic intoxication, even at low levels. If heated, it evaporates. It is bioaccumulative. It never leaves your body. One by one by one, adding up, it never leaves your body. These are quoted in National Institute of Health. I'm now going to quote something very interesting. Environmental Protection Agency, EPA. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency is issuing proposals that would limit and cut U.S. mercury emissions. Quote, mercury emissions come from many boilers, quote, solid waste incinerators. Mercury can damage children's developing brains and nervous systems even before they are born. And mercury, again, is cumulative. Well, wait a minute, this is the EPA. This is the EPA. What's going on? Okay, so I pulled a permit for the crematorium in Cranston. Where are the limits? Nothing about mercury. I don't understand. It's impossible. I'm quoting what I read to you from the EPA documents. What's going on? So I then do some research and go into the Crematorium Association of America. Very strong lobbyists. The EPA has come to the conclusion that human bodies should not be considered solid waste. All right? Therefore, human crematories are not solid waste combustion units and are not subject to OSHA for regulation. Whoa, whoa, they're not saying it's dangerous. This is a loophole. They know that. Why did they spend so much time lobbying all of this? Because the minute it's solid waste, they're under the regulations. So to emphasize, the crematorium in Rhode Island can emit any levels of mercury they want. No limit. It's not against the law. Now, they did something else in here, and I'm winding down in the next minute. In that same article by Canna, all of this will be in my report, and where it's located, I'll give you the reports. Canna says we only get 68 grams of mercury a year, the size of a sugar cube. Nothing. 68 grams. So now I'm going to quote something again. National Institute of Health, Library of Medicine, Occupational Environmental Medicine. Quote, the author states, when urine mercury contains 100 millionths of a liter, 100 millionths of a liter, it is basically a neurotoxin and neurological symptoms will appear. At 800 millionths of a gram, you're dead, quote unquote, fatal. So you see, this whole thing has been, we're at a point that we have to look now at the science. Zoning laws were put into place, but the science wasn't known at the time. These are facts, they exist. There may be loopholes, and now a lot of this is coming down to unfortunate this. So at that point, again, everything I'm saying will be in a report. It's not my opinion. It's not. Everything is cited with the journals, with the publications, and I'll submit it for review. What I'm doing is the article's 7 pages. That's it, 7 pages. The rest are all the documents, and you'll be able to see that.
Will you be submitting it to the planning board also?
It has already gone to the planning
Perfect.
board a week ago. That's
Perfect.
done already.
Okay.
And I'll come in within this week and submit it to the council.
Yeah, if you give it to Joan, the clerk, Joan
Yes.
Chabot.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you very much for
Thank
taking
you very
time listening
much.
to me.
Do you have a PDF version of that? Because that will be probably
Yes,
easier
I
for
will.
her to print.
I will get a PDF ready in the next day or two.
Yeah.
You'll be able to get that
Okay.
too. Thank you very much for your
Thank you.
time.
Thank you.
Board of Licensing. Discussion and possible vote, the Michael J. Roderick, 264 Bulgarmarsh Road, requesting special event permit for the annual Courtney Roderick Run for Recovery 4K Run Walk event, July 22, 2023, from 8 to 11 a.m., start and finish at Grinnell Beach. Hello, Mr. Roderick.
Yeah, either way.
Either way, just to let you all know, I don't remember if you, well, I do know, Stu gave us this nice calendar with all the different events, and because I was concerned about too many events in the same area, don't you remember one time?
Yeah.
Mr. Roger will be the only event that we've approved there so far, because last time we put too many
Yeah.
on that date.
And last year, so this is our 6th annual. Last year was 5th, and so last year we didn't use, any of the property on the beach, the grass area or anything.
Correct.
We did it all in the parking lot across the street. Worked out fine.
Yes, it did.
The chief knows about it. I mean, So we started and then stopped right there from the parking lot, and I don't think we had any problems.
No. There was one year that there was like 4 events going on, and it got, so that's why we've decided to do this calendar now.
Yeah.
So if somebody else comes in with that date, we'll know.
Yeah,
you're
so the
there.
Saturday we picked, I don't, for anyone that's new, so Courtney, we picked the Saturday closest to Courtney's birthday, which is July 23rd. Last year it was on July 23rd.
Yeah, yeah.
We had a birthday cake for it, but, so this year it's on July 22nd, so.
Well, I think it's a wonderful
And last
event.
year, just so you all know, the first year we had it, we raised like 7,000, 7,500, then it was 8,000, 7,500, then 12,000 in the fifth year, in the fourth year, and last year we wrote a check. This is not what we raised, it's what I wrote a check for $16,000. And we give it to a different recovery center every year. Last year, we gave it to the Jim Gillen Recovery Center in Providence. I thought the woman was gonna faint, because I think she thought we were gonna give her like $3,000. So they're giving us they're gonna have a little ceremony for all the people that give $10,000 and more.
That's perfect.
We've done really well. The sponsors are consistent every year, and the turnout is really good, so.
You've talked to the chief, everything's
Yeah,
all
the
set?
Chief saw my application this year, right, Chief?
Colonel, you're all set.
Okay.
If you didn't know, it's Lieutenant Colonel Roderick. He's a retired Marine. He runs this event like a military operation. We never have any problems. Thank you, Colonel.
And I get good support from the chief.
Any questions from the council? Comments?
Madam President,
Yes.
just a quick one. Do we notice any of the businesses like along Main Road? Because obviously this results in the closure of both Main and Highland. And I know last year it kind of came as a surprise to at least a couple businesses.
Which business?
Coastal Roasters was one that had
Oh, no, they
no
know
clue.
about- they know about-
Yeah, because they even
know.
supply coffee sometimes.
And
yeah.
then
No surprise, yeah.
the bank, I remember getting a notice like the day before. They were like, "Oh, whoops, we actually got to close the Stonebridge branch because we had no idea this was coming."
How long do we stop traffic in that area? It's,
Yeah,
if that, right?
if that.
It's
Yeah.
5K, so even this, anyone can do it in an hour, so it's over 5K.
I don't know if I could do it.
Even me.
I'm going to challenge you on that. I don't know.
To get by a struggle.
Yeah, we can have the town clerk know, we can send something out, correct? Or have somebody send something out.
We'll definitely put it up on our website, but it's with I just dropped a pamphlet, each of them let know.
Yeah,
Yeah, we got enough signs.
yeah, maybe we'll just,
You have signs everywhere, yeah.
yeah.
Talk to the branch manager and give them a heads up.
Yeah, I'll bring it down.
So where do we,
We can talk to EDC,
No.
maybe they can talk to the used to be.
Chief Jones, where do we stop traffic? Explain this to
It's
me.
a rolling stop.
Yeah, it's a rolling
Yeah, it's a
stop.
rolling
It's a
stop.
rolling stop.
And sometimes what we do is we kind of reverse the direction on Highland Road coming through the gut.
Right,
So this way the traffic can go up.
right.
Right, so we stop it, right.
So the Bank of Newport will have disruption for,
I know I spoke with the
won't be
manager,
for the-
yeah, and they actually volunteered to use some of the parking on some of these events, so they're really good partners with, the colonel and his event. And we can make sure, and I'll work with the clerk and always, with the colonel, that we can make so this way the roaster knows and all the businesses know. Because they're usually partners in helping us out with this event.
yeah, I do, yeah. Yeah,
We'll make it happen.
okay. All right, do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the Courtney Roderick, the special event permit for the annual Courtney Roderick Run for Recovery 5K Run Walk event, July 22nd, 2023, from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. with a start and finish at Grinnell's Beach, pending meeting all legal requirements.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any,
No rain date?
Yeah, I didn't put a rain date.
You
I think
usually-
Rain or shine, we're
Rain or
gonna do
shine.
it.
That's
I
okay.
think it's not realistic to say I'm gonna bring all that equipment out there the following day.
do you usually have a rain date?
We put it down there,
But
but
you've
I
never
always-
used it.
I'll be bringing it out there, and then the next day we're gonna go rain or shine.
Okay.
So,
Well, it's only 5K, so
It's
like
only-
the chief said, you
Right.
can do it in 10 seconds, so.
we'll bring a truck out. People
You can
go
cool
the
right
truck
off
if
in
they
the
don't
rain.
want
All right,
Rain.
so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Appointments and resignations, acknowledge of resignations, George O'Loughlin from the Budget Committee effective 3/17/2023. Gail Lawrence from Open Space Commission effective 4/15/2023. I'd like to entertain a motion to accept their resignation with regret and thank them for their service.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made in second. All those in favor? Thank you. Is Stu here?
He texted me and said he could not make it.
He texted me and said the same thing. He's
Okay.
tied up, but they are basically trying to,
All right, let me just say, so Stu Gilfillen, Town Farm Renovation Chair, discussion possible vote to extend Town Farm Renovation Committee through December 31st, 2023.
so Stu had his DEM grant extended to that date. So he wants to keep the committee in existence while they're going through the final stages of that grant.
Okay? Any questions? Entertain a motion?
Move to approve the extension of the Town Farm Renovation Committee and all its members through December 31 of 2023.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? I'm going to table 8B because David's not here yet. Oh, okay, all right, because he texted me he's not coming, so that he was going to be late. Well, I didn't see you over there. All right, David Paull, come on up. David Paull, Dog Park Advisory Committee, discussion possible vote to extend Dog Park Advisory Committee. Hello.
Hi.
Say your name.
Kim Sutherland, co-chair of the Dog Park Committee.
No, he texted me, I'm on my way, okay. So the question is whether we extend it. What are your feelings on
We
this?
would like to extend it. I don't think it needs to be called the advisory committee or maybe oversight. And we would like to, right now it's supposed to be 11 members. We've only had 9 since we made it 11. We've had no other interest in anyone coming. We're doing the work with 9, so we don't feel that it needs any more.
The reason why it's on the agenda is there was a sunset clause. So that's why it had
Yeah,
to be.
we kind of all went a little bit haywire when we heard that and said, what?
No. Because when we appointed all of you, there was a sunset clause because we wanted to make sure it was all done and it was completion. But your duties from this point on would be just maintenance of.
Right, and putting in any new amenities that people have asked for.
I have to say, this advisory committee has done a wonderful job.
Thank you.
And the dog park is beautiful.
Thank you, we're very proud.
And so is Tiverton. A lot of people use it now. And
Always busy.
yeah, and your work hasn't gone unnoticed. You have been a very active committee. Any questions for Kim? So you're asking,
So
you want to extend it?
one of the reasons the solicitor just reminded me, as an advisory, you don't have to post the minutes on the Secretary of State's website.
Ooh,
But they are.
I like that.
Right, so right now they're an advisory.
Yeah, you do have to give it to the clerk, but you don't have to
Right.
post it on Secretary of State's.
Right.
Okay,
So
'cause we have
if-
been posting them.
Well, you could continue.
You
know.
can,
It doesn't
you
hurt.
can,
It doesn't hurt.
Do they have to post their agenda?
yeah,
Yeah.
it's just
They
the
still
minutes,
do.
just the minutes.
So how long would you like this to not have a sunset clause and just continue? I know. What is everyone's
Do you
thought
want to
on this?
reassess it like end of 2024?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking.
So extend to
Why don't we extend it for a year, 3/28/20?
reviewing that.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any further? Oh, the only other thing is you want to make it, how many member committee?
9.
You want to make it 9?
Yeah, we can't do that now.
Yeah.
You can't, but we'll have to put it on agenda to do that. Okay.
It's not affected your quorum, though?
No.
Okay.
Okay, I just want to make sure I remember that. Okay.
We'll change the number.
So we'll put it on the agenda for next time. Okay. Motion been made in second. All those in favor? Unanimous. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim.
Thank you, David Paul. Oh, I like David Paul, so it's okay.
Rick?
Rick, is Rick here? Oh, yeah. DPW Director Rogers, approval and vote of budget transfer from FY23, $3,000 from account 5540-6698 sand, salt, and gravel to account 5540-7325 highway signs, and $3,000 from account 5540, 5101, DPW workers to account 5540, 6910. Rick?
Yes, thank you. And does anybody have any questions?
Madam President,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Chair.
I was just going to motion that we do the transfers, but if Councilor Burk has
Well,
a
you can
question.
make the motion second, then I'll do
All right.
discussion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the budget transfers requested by Director Rogers, 3,000 from 5540-6698 to 5540-7325, and 3,000 from 5540-5101 to 5540-6910.
I'll second.
Motion's been made in second.
It was only a comment.
Discussion?
So because of our light winter, we were able to do this.
Yes,
Knock on wood.
yes.
Well,
It
it's-
might be spring
Come
by
on,
the
April's
calendar.
coming.
Anyway.
We're done, we're done.
Yeah, it's supposed to snow a little bit tonight, right?
Well, it all depends on
You're
the
gonna go out and
temperature
see-
drop,
yeah.
so.
Any further discussion? Any questions? Yes.
I've got a comment. I think Rick knows what it's gonna be. Waste heat boilers.
It's the next
We,
item.
we have actually been keeping that in mind, Jay.
I know it's not on the agenda, but, you know, we're spending a lot of money on heat, and we're spending a lot of money to give waste oil away that we could be burning to get that heat.
We have not forgotten, and we still have it on our think list, so.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second on the first item for Rick, the transfer of sand, salt, and gravel to highway signs. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Just point of clarity,
sorry.
my motion was for both items.
Oh, it was for both, I'm
Yep.
sorry. So we have both on the table.
No, I thought it said both.
Okay, I missed that. So again, all in favor for approving both of those items?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Chief Jones?
Good evening. I'm not sure if the council has any questions similar to Director Rogers' transfers. Just to quickly address the one for education to in-service training. So we were able to, for the first time in several years since COVID, do more firearms training, and we're actually doing our patrol rifle training as we speak. Getting officers together was an issue obviously before, but also acquiring ammunition was one of the challenges that we had. But now that we're able to conduct this training, we have most of our officers, probably about 2/3 of our officers are going to partake in the training, so there was a little bit more of an expense. The second one, IT services to software, we've done a lot of implementation of trying to cut paper and move all of our resources from scheduling to CAD systems completely virtual. And then the last one, the Taser Assurance Program, that 1252 was the little bit of a shortage, and I know we discussed this briefly about the body cameras for the tasers. We did get that state grant for approximately $54,000, but we were short about $1,200, and this would cover that.
Do I have a motion first off on any or all of these items?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the transfers as requested by Chief Jones, 6,500 from account 3330, 6928 to account 3330, 6125, 3,500 from account 3330, 7590 to account 3330, 6735, and 1252 from account 3330, 6667 to account 3330, 6792.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Back to you.
Town Administrator and Treasurer Saurette. Discussion possible vote to approve funds to advertise RFP for annual financial audit service 2024, 2025, and 2026.
So this is a ministerial duty to try to get our auditors up on a contract. It's basically the same RFP that we've been using year after year.
Madam President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to grant the administrator and the treasurer the ability to advertise for the RFP for annual financial audit services for years 24, 25, and 26.
Second.
Do I have any discussion? All those in favor? Fire Chief Bailey? Discussion and possible vote to authorize application for multi-hazard mitigation plan grant not to exceed $30,000.
Good evening. Looking to the town's multi-hazard mitigation plan, which was last submitted, was 2017. It requires updating. In speaking with Grinnell Emergency Management, we are eligible potentially for a 90-10 match through FEMA, but it has to be in by May 2nd. So from speaking to them, the cost, generally that municipality similar to this size, it's about $25,000 to $28,000 to update the plan.
And they would take 90% of that cost?
FEMA would pay 90, and we'd have a 10% match,
So it'd be somewhere around 2,500 to
depending on what the,
3,000.
when it goes out to bid.
Right.
And what the cost is going to be, and whatever consultant is hired would have to stay on until FEMA accepts the plan.
In all likelihood, it would be a reimbursable, so we would spend the money, they'd reimburse us based on the formula of whatever it is.
The only thing I do have a question, were we supposed to update it earlier than this?
I found out in January it was supposed to be February, but this is not.
No, I'm just asking.
So basically.
So we're not that
they just
far off.
No, and
Okay.
as speaking with Rhode Island Emergency Management, they were like, as long as we're moving ahead with it, they're fine. And there's money available right now. It's just there's a May 2nd deadline to apply for the 90-10 match.
Is this the emergency management plan?
It's the multi-hazard mitigation plan where you look at vulnerabilities and steps that you're taking for mitigation.
Because the EMP needs to be updated too.
Chief Jones is going to get jealous you're going for a grant, so you
I know,
need to
I know,
go for
I know.
another one.
He's gonna help us write
I'm
it.
trying to be competitive with. I'm going to start competing.
I love this. Let's be competitive here. Rick, you're next. Find us a grant. All right, any questions?
Madam
Do I have a
President,
motion?
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the application for multi-hazard mitigation plan grants not to exceed 30 grand.
Second.
Motion been made in second. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it, thank you. Police Chief Jones, here he comes.
No, one more.
Oh,
Emergency healthcare grant,
This is the big one.
right below that.
oh, I'm sorry. Discussion, possible vote to spend, the big one.
So while it is on the agenda for tonight, we are basically going to ask you to table this till the next meeting because we're waiting on USDA to give a confirmation on the number one item in this grant is the ambulance. We might have to do a little bit of a grant amendment to it, which is, just a administrative function. But these are all the items that the chief would be looking for in that grant. So we're not looking for final approval tonight, but again, we'll put it on the next agenda to make sure that we do have confirmation from USDA.
Do I have a motion to table?
So moved. To April 10th.
Motion been made in second. I'm sorry I skipped you. Motion been made in second. All those in favor? Thank you. Now it's Police Chief Jones. Discussion, possible vote to authorize application for the legislation grant sponsored by Representative Edwards in the amount of $10,000. Hi.
I figured I'd bring Officer Smaldone.
Okay.
Work tonight, huh?
With no objection,
You might
of
as well
course.
come hang out.
This was a grant I actually was approached by Representative Edwards during the Lions Club awards banquet. And this is a grant program that the representative has sponsored yearly for us and for the police department and for the fire department. So it is the plan of the police department to use it for traffic safety. So it's a non-matchable grant. It's just a matter of putting in for the grant and getting it approved through the state legislature. So I'd like permission to apply for the grant.
Any questions from the
Madam
council?
President, I'd like to make a motion to grant the chief the authorization to apply for the legislative grant sponsored by Representative Edwards in the amount of $10,000.
Do I have a second? Second. Any further discussions or questions? All those in
So can
favor?
I just
Oh,
ask- So we get this every year?
Yes.
yes.
As long as we apply.
As long
Yes.
as, right.
So that's just, it's just a matter of form.
That's where the
That's the
gator came from and all
formality.
that stuff for the fire department.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All those in favor? Okay. All right, discussion application for FY24 Senate Appropriation Grant in the amount of $280,000.
So there was a deadline, or there is a deadline on this grant through Senator Reed's office. And I know it's coming up as one of your other agenda items that we'll deal with in a few minutes. Senator Reed's office approached us, and this is the same appropriation that goes into the president's federal budget that we received $500,000 last year to revamp our dispatch center and to help with communications. So this year, I put in for, I know it's the president and I's favorite subject about cars.
As long as you can get them paid for, I'm
So
fine.
this one is a non-matching grant, and this would provide 5 police cars for the police department. And what I did, or what we did specifically, it also provide Officer Smaldone a vehicle for the school resource officer, and also a vehicle for the detectives, because what the detective unit is doing now, as I described in the grant, if they go to a scene, they're basically loading all their equipment into the back of a car.
Yeah.
This would be a specific crime scene type of response vehicle. And then one of the other vehicles that goes kind of hand in hand with our mental health approach, all the vehicles that we utilize now and our police officers utilize, they have cages at the back. So if they're responding to a call with someone who's dealing with a mental health episode, we feel the last thing we want to do is put them in the back of a car with a cage. So this would be able to, we'd be able to take a car, equip it properly, so we could transport individuals who are willing individuals to seek mental health services.
Madam President?
Yes.
Just for clarity purpose, and I'm not trying to deflate anything here, it's both this grant and the last grant, while the chief is extremely trying to be transparent, our ordinance really doesn't require him to come for your approval
No,
because
it
there are no
doesn't.
matches.
Right.
I just want to be clear, he's being extremely transparent
I was
about what
going to
he's trying
mention
to
that
do.
the last time, but, yeah, because you're only required if there's a matching, but that's okay. But it's always good for us to know what's out there and what we do.
He and I both agree that we would always want to be transparent as best that we can.
Yes.
But the policy does read if we have to match it.
And quite frankly, when he first applied for this grant, he was not at all selfish. He applied for 3 cars for the police, for the fire department. They rejected that because they don't qualify. So he did try to at least do something for the fire department as well, so.
So I'll remind you that we do still have the USDA matching grant of 35%, and I told the chief that we would take care of him that way.
And it's a running joke, but you do know I appreciate everything you're
I know
doing.
you do.
Okay.
I know you do.
So which
Okay.
federal agency does this come from?
So this is an earmark,
Yeah.
Oh, just straight
straight
earmark.
earmark.
Okay.
But it didn't qualify for fire for some reason.
That's all right, because he can do the next grant and give it to you.
He's teaching them.
Yeah, we don't. We're good. We're good.
I love what's going on. All right, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Madam President,
Yes.
do we need a motion if he's not required to seek our approval?
Well, it says possible vote, so let's
All
go
right.
from there.
In the order of formality, then, I like to make a motion to grant the chief the ability to seek a fiscal year 24 Senate Appropriations Grant in the amount of $280,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Councilor Edwards. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
You're doing it again.
Police Chief Jones, discussion and possible vote to authorize application for FY23 COPS School Violence Prevention Program and COPS Hiring Program.
So these are 2 federal grants, and these are matching grants. So these are similar to the ones that we did for the 2 police officers under the COPS Universal Hiring Program. It's up to 75%, 3 years, up to $125,000. My new budget that is going to be put in front of you, my proposal that I submitted to the town administrator, is to ask for a second SRO. I'm just trying to get ahead of this because obviously the budget will be talked about before this grant deadline expires. We are under no obligation. This is just to apply. So, and then if we are fortunate enough to get an award, then it'll be back in front of you for reconsideration. And also and I've had very brief conversations with the superintendent about this because obviously they're part of this equation because they cover, a large percentage of the SRO's salary currently. So I think that, between the school department and the municipal side, we could come to an arrangement, so to speak, that would benefit us and also have the ability to get a second SRO in the schools.
The school committee chairman did call me about this, and I did explain to them what this was about. So he already has a heads up.
Excellent.
When I was on the school committee years ago, and we started this whole program, we did have a grant that
Yes,
paid
right.
75% of it.
Yes.
So this is very similar to that. All right, because that's how we started this program?
Yes.
is At the time, Chief Blakey got us this.
Correct.
So this is very similar to what we did last time?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
And then the second part of that grant is the violence prevention program. I know it's been a discussion about security at the schools recently. So this grant would provide any municipality up to $500,000 with a 25 local cash match. So the maximum award is $500,000, so we'd be on the hook for about $75,000, or the town would be. But that it could address everything from police training to staff training, student training, doors, cameras, anything that we wanted to utilize to enhance training, enhance security. The government, if we apply and we are approved, it's up to $500,000 to offset those costs.
Have you talked to the school department on this?
I have not.
Okay, because I know they're doing that whole safety thing.
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Jay?
So if we get this grant,
Yes, sir.
who is going to control the funds?
I would imagine that it would fall under, because it's a Department of Justice grant, it would fall under us because we'd be required, as we are with the COPS grant, to report these out.
Right.
So my assumption, and I'm knee-jerking this, the town of Tiverton would be the applicant. I would be the program director, but if you authorize the administrator to allow me to apply, he would be the point of contact. So it would fall to us as the town, as it does with all Department of Justice and COPS grants.
I think eventually we'll have to have a discussion with the school department if we...
Right, if we get this grant, and again, no obligation. We can get an award and you can decline an award. But because of where our budget process is and where the deadlines are for the federal government, we have to apply. I think the deadlines are in May. So we'd have to apply, and I'd prefer to apply now so we can get consideration, and then we'd be notified probably by the end of the federal fiscal, because this would be a 24 grant, so it would start in October.
Okay.
So we'd know a lot about it before the budget cycle.
I'm not sure we'd know about it before this budget cycle, sir. We'd move up in consideration. I think we'd get heads up, but we wouldn't get any confirmation probably to I would say the end of this year.
Yeah, generally, those types of grants don't get announced until September-ish, maybe August.
Correct.
Well, no, but you might get a warm fuzzy.
Well, that's coming up when, our federal delegation is in town. They've been excellent, and their staff have been outstanding in helping us and kind of directing us on the grants and where we should apply, and they've been fantastic in assisting us with these grants.
So it says here the application deadline, the first part is May 10th, and then the completion is May 17th, so it would not be for this budget cycle.
Right.
But the schools are looking at some more security, whether it be training, whether it be
Correct.
cameras, locks, whatever, in the schools. Mike and I are on their building committee, so it is something in discussion. So,
I mean, as Officer Smaldone, she's been in the school for a couple of weeks. There are definitely security issues in there and things that need to be improved. Just locks on the doors. I mean, we all know the school's over 50 years old. So if something like this could help offset some of the costs that need to be put in immediately to offset the security, that was just our thinking.
so the other underlying concern that we always have is, and we will find out before we go through this process in its entirety, is that are there going to be obligations that we have to have minimum manning or ownership of this after the grant period's done? I don't believe that that's the case in the literature I read, but we will definitely reach out to the grantee agencies to ensure that we have that answer before any final approvals come.
well, we would be responsible for that second SRO if we're doing it partway through the grant.
We would do it through the grant period. The issue is what happens after the grant
After,
goes away.
right.
And that's
Are
what
we
happened last
obligated to
time.
continue?
But we weren't obligated last time.
No, we were not.
Yes, this time you would be.
Okay.
But this time it's going to be so awesome that we're not going to be able to live without.
But we'll at least get the answers.
It was
in.
awesome when we did it,
I know,
too.
well,
If we could clone Officer Smaldone, if there was a grant out there for that, then clearly that would be easier. But, and no disrespect to Officer Anderson, because I know she was initially, and she is still interested. So if we could get both of them into the schools with the 5 schools that we have, one officer that can concentrate on the high school and the middle school, and also on the 3 elementary schools. And I'll just add this point too, and I've had this discussion with some of the council members, when, Officer Smaldone is entitled to have a sick day or have a day off. When she is on a sick day, there is no one at the school. So at least if we can start thinking forward with some of the issues that we're having in our schools, that are constantly in our schools, if she's allowed to take a day off or have a sick day, and we're not putting an officer on overtime in there, that is just an officer on overtime. She can have a partner. They're assigned to the schools. They deal with all the daily issues of the schools. So if one of them is not there, and it could be a sick day, could be training, could be anything, there's always a police officer and there's always coverage there for the 180 days.
Right, and they know the processes. You're going to have to get another grant for another car, though.
That's part of that, too. I put it in, too.
All right, let's not go there right now.
Just to be clear, because Councilor Janik mentioned dates, so there's two sets of dates.
Yes, sir.
For the violence prevention, it's May 10th and May 17th. For the hiring program, it's May 4th and May 11th.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Anyone else?
Madam President,
Yes, John.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the chief to apply for the FY23 COPS School Prevention or Violence Prevention Program and the COPS Hiring Program. And just note that it'd be great if we wouldn't telegraph the deficiencies and securities at the schools.
Second. It's already been done.
I'm just saying, public forum.
Motion's been made and second. Any further discussion? Councilor Burke?
No, sorry.
Okay. All those in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. Town Administrator Chief Jones, communication between Senator Reed and Whitehouse with Chief Jones regarding police department dispatch center site on April 12th, 2023 at 11 o'clock.
So again, Senator Reed's office and Senator Whitehouse, along with Congressman Cicilline's office, have been extraordinarily supportive of all of our grants and all of our applications that we put in, regardless of the federal agency. So we did receive a call from Senator Reed's office. He would like to come down, given that we are getting the $500,000 that's going to be specifically used to upgrade our dispatch area. And I did tell the Senator's office that nothing's been done right yet because we're still working through the process of the radios, but maybe a before and after kind of visit, which they liked the idea of. So they're going to be at the police department on April 12th, along with Congressman Cicilline at 11 o'clock to do a site visit so they can get an idea of how the funds are going to be utilized.
Okay. And that's just an announcement. Any questions or comments? Town Administrator, Police Chief Jones, discussion and possible vote to approve Memorandum of Understanding between School Department and Police Department regarding School Resource Office. Sir, I also talked to the Chairman of the School Committee regarding this. They have not voted on this yet either.
It's going to be at their next meeting, from what I understand.
It's tonight.
Okay.
They're, for some reason, on having the meeting tomorrow night. Like usual, they're having a meeting tonight. So they're going to be voting on this also tonight, but he wanted to make it clear to me that they haven't voted.
And I
go
know,
ahead.
and I will be fair, obviously, Officer Smaldone has not even seen this document yet. A lot of it is boilerplate, but I know she trusts
We
me.
don't have it.
Okay, and I think it is, Tim's looking at it, so our Labor Council has been in contact, and we did have a Zoom meeting with the town administrator.
I thought we did a text. I'm sorry.
No, it's not, I didn't get it. Did anybody else get it?
No.
Did not.
No. So.
I know that there was a couple issues that Tim was still working out with the school department attorney, so I think if anything, it would just authorize the town administrator to continue with the discussions with the school department and their legal representative, because we're close. We're kind of there. We did a lot of forming back and forth.
So there were a lot of things related to the Policeman's Bill of Rights that had to be incorporated into the MOU that.
So do you want me to just table this, because you're already working on
I
it?
don't have an issue with tabling until the next meeting because.
do I.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that there's two other
Yeah,
MOUs.
there's a camera policy and there's.
There's body cameras and then the school security cameras that are also MOAs that they want with the town as well. So maybe next meeting we do all three.
Okay.
Madam President.
I need a motion. Councilor Burke?
Motion to table item L, the memorandum of agreement, understanding between school department, police department regarding school resource officer to our April 10th meeting.
Second.
Motion been made in second. All those in favor? It's allowed April 10th.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Town Administrator, update regarding Tiverton Mount Hope Bay watershed plan.
So they provided the town the plan. They did ask that I submit it to the public officials in town for any comment or any suggestions that they deem necessary to be put into the plan. So I'll wait, I'll leave the table open for a while, and if anybody has any suggestions, I can forward them off to DEM.
Any questions?
The PDF version we have is in color, so we can see.
It is.
I haven't looked at the PDF, I just looked at.
It is,
is,
I believe
yes.
it's in color.
Yep.
And if it's not, I'll definitely get
No,
you.
John says it is.
Yeah.
Did this also go to the Harbor Commission?
I believe it did, yeah.
It should, but
It should, right?
Madam President,
yes.
question for the administrator. So assuming this gets finalized, that will leave, what, like 4% of Tiverton that isn't covered by a watershed program?
I didn't go through all the details. I've had a little bit of a busy week.
No, I understand. I'm just, I feel like I want to get that point out there because we already
no,
do have
it-
two watersheds that are fairly
We
large.
have a lot of watershed in this town, and I know people will become very surprised at how far out that reaches from what will be Stafford Pond, Nonquit Pond, Watson Reservoir. You know, we have a lot of areas that surround that are clearly watershed areas. So it does have a major impact on this community.
Yeah, my quick read through it should have a significant impact on especially the north end of town. So it's something.
And you also have Cook Pond, which is,
Yeah.
well, it's not a water reservoir, it's also a watershed.
I mean, they highlight specifically Kramer Pond as one, and there was this idea of creating some sort of a entity to add basically another tax on residents. And, you know, my only comment that I would add as it relates to that piece is part of the problem that we're suffering is because the state of Rhode Island, namely RIDOT, has not done anything with that stretch of Main Road, and it is all 100% a drainage issue. So.
I don't disagree. I will say that they have done some work with the drainage issue coming out of Kramer Pond. They haven't done anything with the damage that was done to the road.
Correct.
But I do know that I believe from Director Alvidi that it is being expedited on the STIP plan for that to be one of the higher projects that are coming.
Thank you.
So we don't need any decision on this?
No, it's just for informational only. If you have comments or suggestions, get them to me and I will definitely get them to DEM.
All right. Councilor Edwards, discussion possible vote to open remove footnote language on page 1 of the administrator's contract. John?
Thank you, Madam President. So as a result of our discussion coming out of executive session last week, I took a look at the administrator's contract, and I found a footnote on page 1 that states, the employee shall report to and be responsible to the town council as a whole, provided that when the town council is not in session, the employee shall report to the town council president and shall be responsible to the town council president so long as the instructions therefore do not contradict state law, local law, town charter, or established town policy or town council policy. In the event the town council president is unavailable, the employee shall report to the town council vice president. And this language is inconsistent with our charter. We have a council administrator form of government. This, in my reading, creates a reporting structure which is outside of the charter. And as a result, given that inconsistency, I think we should ask the administrator to allow us to open the contract and remove that specific language.
Any comments from the council? Jay?
All right, I'm going to be a little long-winded. The charter,
Yeah, you just need your mic.
I'm sorry. Okay. The council president currently is given more power by mutual consent of the council members when they are elected as the president of the town council. I don't see this as power, I see this as positional authority. The council president is recognized as the head of the town government by the charter, and within the emergency management plan is the CEO of the town. The council president signs all contractual and financial obligation documents after approval by the majority of the town council. The council president selects the town council meeting agendas. The council president can call special meetings independently. If we individually want to call one, we have to have 3 people agree. The town council president can alone declare a state of emergency within well-defined parameters. The council only ratifies as soon as circumstances permit by the charter. In most cases, that ratification would be after the fact in most cases. The town administrator does not communicate with a designated, if the town administrator does not communicate with a designated member of the council, then who would he communicate with on a day-to-day basis if he requires advice or input? If it was required that the town administrator communicate with all council members, then we would have a rolling quorum situation, and we can't have that. The town administrator does not operate in a vacuum and requires a sounding board for ideas and opinions and options. If there are any adverse issues where the council president has acted inappropriately, they can be addressed on a case-by-case basis by the council. So, I don't think there's any need to remove footnote number 1. I think it serves a useful purpose, and I think it should remain.
Anyone else? Councilor Burk?
Yeah, I guess I'm not understanding what the problem is or has been. I believe this footnote is carried forward from past contracts with past administrators going back some years, several administrators, and deliberately ensuring that she's not making any decisions outside of perhaps the emergency piece that is allowed here. She may be having some conversations with the town administrator for him to bounce his own ideas off so he can come with informed decisions. She technically could set the agenda without any of us involved, or the town administrator or the town clerk. She does not do that, and she always either puts something on the agenda that a council member asks or has a conversation with them, mostly about timing of it, if that's necessary, if the timing might make sense at a later date. And I agree with Councilor Jay Edwards that absent, I assume, and I could be wrong, and our solicitor has more experience, that most other cities and towns with similar charters have the council president having a more active role. And my concern, as Jay had said, is that without that, Chris would not be able, or any town administrator would not be able to functionally conduct his work on a regular basis, because he would have to wait till every meeting to come forward for everything. Our agendas would be packed, because sometimes it's just, I'm going to do this now, it lets me do it. So for example, the couple of items that Chris had mentioned, that we mentioned that that Chief Jones brought forward, that don't require a match. I mean, in the spirit of transparency, that was brought forward. And I know that's one of the elements that the council president adheres to as best as possible to ensure as much transparency. We've functioned well in my 2+ years under this, and I believe other presidents have, well, I know other presidents have functioned under this, so I'm not sure of the problem that we're seeking to fix.
Anyone else? Deb?
I agree with Councilor Edwards to my left and Councilor Burke, and I guess I'm just wondering, why do you feel that this needs to be fixed? Like, do you-
Would you like me to respond, or?
I mean,
I'm just going to go down, but go ahead.
Okay.
I just want to assure everybody, and I think the majority of the council knows this, I do not make any decisions without bringing it to you. Chris and I discuss items, stuff that's going on in town, and it's basically, when do you want to put this on the agenda? Do we have all the information we need? And I'll suggest to him, well, why don't we get this information before I do it? I do have agenda meetings with 4 people present, and like I said before, it's a consensus agenda. I think Chris will go with me that I do not make any decisions without bringing it to you. And I don't know if this is implying I do, and I would like examples of it if it is, but I will tell you, I've been on the council for 12 years. This has always been in the contract. I've spoke to past presidents recently who've said this has always been in the contract. Chris needs somebody to run something by in the 2-week period. I do not make any decisions. We decide when to bring it to you, and if it's something big, Chris puts out a confidential email to all of you to tell you what's going on.
and I think that in the 2+ years I've been on the council, there's been one event, and I can't even remember what it was, that it was like an emergency, that you had to make a decision, and we learned about it, like as soon as
We put an email out to tell you
Right.
what I've done.
Right. But I think that had we had to wait, I wish I could remember what it was, but if we had to wait, it would have been more detrimental. It was something that a decision had to be made and called upon very quickly. And had we had to contact each one of us to try to get a meeting, a special meeting or something, it would have been.
I know what you're talking about, and I think I called a special meeting after it happened.
It was just, it would not have worked as efficiently, and
I do want to mention something also. You can't just we can't vote to open this contract. This is signed by Chris and I, and Chris has to give us permission to open this contract also. You can't just open a contract. So, John, would you like to?
I would love to, thank you. First off, Madam President, my apologies if this came off as a personal attack or affront to you. That was in no way the intention of this agenda item. Strictly, this agenda item was put on here because I noticed an inconsistency between the governing language for our town and the contract that the administrator had signed as a direct result of our discussions around the administrator's contract at the last meeting. I understand what the rest of the council is saying. However, we need only look to the private sector for any organization where there's a CEO who is ostensibly our town administrator and a board of directors. In a board of directors scenario, there is not a hierarchy created. The charter is very clear that, and I understand the sections that Councilor Edwards pointed out, but where it talks about appointing a presiding officer, it explicitly states that the council president shall have the same rights as any other member. So if we're to operate as a board, the administrator's contract, in my opinion, should reflect that he is essentially an independent CEO who should be doing the day-to-day functions of running the town and then reporting back to the board as a whole. And my concern would be not for this current president, but for future presidents where this language might be taken advantage of. Again, proactively trying to fix what I perceive to be a problem.
Councilor Burke?
Just a note, and I don't have any experience with business boards, corporate boards, but I have experience with nonprofit boards, several of them. And generally, those nonprofit boards, that president is very closely tied to the executive director, whoever the paid professional at the top is, not making decisions, but again, being that person to have as a sounding board, being that person who will help identify when items when the timing is right, not that they shouldn't come, but when the timing is right for items to come forward. I hear what you're saying. I don't see this as a conflict. And again, my biggest concern is without this, then, again, Chris has to wait 2, sometimes 3 weeks between meetings. Or he sends an email to all of us with content that would be in violation of the Open Meetings Act.
Can I ask
Yeah,
a
if I
question
say
on that?
one other thing?
Yeah.
I don't run the town day-to-day. I'm going to tell you that the administrator is perfectly capable of running the town every day. I don't talk to him daily. Well, sometimes we do if there's big things coming up. I come to town hall maybe once or twice a week, and it's usually to sign stuff for the clerk and to do the agenda. But I want to assure everybody, I am not running this town, Chris is. When he calls me, this is what's going on. Do you want to put in the agenda? What do you need before we do that? Should I notify the council now? That's the kind of thing we talk about. But I don't want anyone to think that Chris Carter is not capable of running this town. He does it efficiently, and I do not help run his day-to-day process. Go ahead.
So, and just so I have 2 parts here. For Councilor Burk, because I've heard this mentioned a couple times. The first part is just for you, not for the second part. That if the administrator didn't report to the council president, he would have to wait, between 2 weeks in order to get approval to do something. I would assume that's just what Councilor Burk had suggested, and some of the other councilors. Janik and Edwards have suggested here is that it's important to have this reporting structure in place because there might be an event where the administrator needs to seek authority to do something from the council president, and yet the council president is very clearly stating that that is not the normal course and not the practice. So if that's not the normal course and not the practice, what would the harm be in removing a functional reporting structure from the administrator's contract?
Would someone like to respond? Yes.
I don't see this as the town administrator reporting to the town council president. I see this as the town administrator using the town council president as a sounding board and as for discussion and advice. And I'll say authority by virtue of the fact that they were elected by the majority of the town council members to serve that function. And sometimes, yeah, it can get a little fuzzy, but in this particular instance, I know for a fact that this current town council president makes sure that all of us know what kind of discussions she's having, as does the town administrator. I don't think this is, a backroom deals or anything like that.
So,
Mike.
So, I guess I'm still unclear as to the reporting piece, because I don't think Chris believes he reports to Denise. I think Chris recognizes, to Denise or whomever the council president might be, I think he recognizes that he reports to all of us. The other piece is going back to one of your earlier statements, John, about, you're looking not at the person, but at the position, and, there could be somebody in the future who misuses that role. I think we have an easy mechanism for that, and that would be the other members of the town council voting to remove that person from the role of president. So I do think there's a check and balance with that. And I also want to point out that Denise, and this is specific to this time frame, so that's why I use her as the example, for 3+ years has had emergency powers under the pandemic emergency. She continues to have those as long as that is in existence, and we have the resolution that gives her those emergency powers. I think that may be the one situation where, Deb, you talked about that she invoked those emergency powers, but it was under that limited piece. Every other thing that might have come forward, at least while I've been on the council during the time of the pandemic, she could have done several things under those emergency powers, but she's chosen not to do that, and instead has come back to the council for advice and for a vote. So I think that in and of itself shows that, at least in this person, there is the respect for the role and the accountability to the council as a whole, while also being available to the town administrator, not for reporting, not for her to tell him what to do or not to do. And the last piece is, there are some specific things where we have vested in her and Jay, for example, as our negotiating team with the various unions, and investing that, and with Chris and Tim, they sit through hours and hours and hours of negotiation sessions and/or mediation, and yet they need to come back to us, and they're very clear that they need to come back to us with any final decision. But we've also authorized them within parameters to try to get as close to a final agreement as possible before coming back to us. So we do at times vest those folks in that role.
So John, would you like,
So I have a question. Mr. Connor, are you willing to reopen your contract?
That's a loaded question.
For this purpose?
So let me give you my viewpoint of this, because I know you did come and tell me that you were going to put this on the agenda. I was actually looking to see if there were going to be any clear and cut instances of something that, and there isn't. And there isn't because this was negotiated as part of my contract. I agreed to this. And I actually agreed to it. It was one of the provisions in the existing contract that I actually liked, because it gives me guidance on where to go and what to do. And I'm going to give you a little bit more context to this. That while I may talk to the council president about something that's going on, I usually do it after I've talked to either a solicitor of Mike Monticello, Romano, Tim Cavassa, a trust attorney, or something that needs council attention, that in what context are we going to do this, how are we going to do this, and then in context with the council president is, how do we get this before the council? Because it's ultimately going to be your decision as a group to do something. I will tell you, nothing has ever been done with being a council president except for the pandemic. And whether it was Trish or Denise, is it related to try to get something done in a timely manner with the fire chief and get inoculations out to the public and to do things that had to be done, with decisions had to be done immediately? We did that. We also came back to the council and explained to them exactly what we did. The only time that I've really not had an issue with the council where we would is when I did used to do reports and some of the confidential information got leaked out, and that's what stopped the reports from being written. So I don't have an issue with this being in my contract. I actually prefer it to be there because it gives me guidelines and a rails or rundown when I do encounter a problem that needs to be addressed. There are things that have happened through negotiations that have come up. Not only is it may be a union that the council president was a part of negotiations with, that I've talked to her, how do I get this to be conformed, and we sit down with the labor attorney, figure out, and then we present it to the town council. But by no means has the council president, either Trish or Denise, have ever run this town. I run this town, and I think I do a pretty damn good job of it, but I also do it in conjunction with all of you. I don't do it with one person of mine. The only time that I speak with the council president is try to get something on this agenda, on any agenda. So I don't have an issue with being in my contract.
so John, would you like to make a motion, or?
I have one final question, and I think I can read the room, so there's no point in doing the motion. For the solicitor, in the event that a provision of a contract is inconsistent with the town charter, which document controls?
Assuming that it's inconsistent, we have to make that assumption first.
Correct.
The charter would control.
Okay. So I guess there's no reason for me to make a motion. Personally, The way I read this, and with all due respect to Councilor Edwards, is when it says that when the council's not in session, meaning the span of time in between our 2-week meetings, if you read this contract word for word, there is a functional reporting structure that's created by it. And now that may not be problematic for the council and the council president today. It is something that could be problematic with a different council and a different council president. And so my intent was not to come here to ruffle feathers, to intimate in any way, shape, or form that the administrator, the president, or anybody else for that matter is doing something wrong. It was just strictly looking forward to what's going to what could happen in the future. And that's, as a policy-setting body, that's our responsibility.
Okay. Councilor Edwards, discussion possible vote to add consent agenda item with detailed attorney fee for council review.
So I don't think we need a vote here. I talked to the solicitor about this. My point here was transparency along with everything else. We get detailed reports from the treasurer as far as money in, money out, you know, all the financials of the town. The one piece that we don't ever seem to get any backup on beyond just a strict line item was what our attorney was billing us for. But it's come to my attention that all members of this board have the right to go and see those detailed bills. So
Yeah, and there's reasons why they're not detailed bills, because it's
it could
a lot
reveal
of what-
legal strategy.
a lot
Correct.
of legal strategy that we discuss.
And we don't want to make that a public document. So we can skip over that one too.
Okay.
And we could always make it part of the, when the solicitor gives us his report in executive session. We could, if we wanted to, get that information at that time.
Yeah, perhaps on a quarterly basis when you submit the reports, just something so that the
Mike?
I mean, I'll do whatever the council wants. I just want to remind the council that other than the litigation budget, the other legal fees is a flat fee. So you're getting billed the same amount no matter if I spend 100 hours on a month or 50 hours on a month. So, and those bills tend to be kind of descriptive, but they're block billed. It's not like, it's not broken down by matter because it's the same fee for the same, for.
It's just billable hours.
It's a billable, yeah.
So it's always been a practice, you can come look at them either my office, and to when they used to be with Nancy Mello years ago. You could go see them with her, but we just don't want them to leave the building.
makes sense. Thank you.
And Jay, they're not billable, they're not billable hours. Billable hours would be that he's billing us for an hour for X. It's a flat fee.
And
Right, the litigation is a billable hour.
And so is our labor attorney, but
Right.
that's a pure example that we don't want to
Right. We never disclose those.
make those disclosed. Okay. Discussion, possible vote on correction of Housing Authority member Nancy Mello's appointed term from 2/16/2020 to 10/16/2020 to 10/15/2025 to 10/16/2021 to 10/15/2026. This was explained to me. Joan, you want to explain it?
Yeah, and we had been contacted by the Ethics Committee to provide the names and terms. And we were also contacted by Nancy at Tiverton Housing. She's the executive director. They need this information, and in reviewing it while we were, and just need to get that corrected so that they each expire in a different year.
So I need a,
And she was the last appointment of a resignation.
so I need a motion to change her term to 10/16/2021 to 10/15/2026.
So moved.
Second, and can I,
Yeah.
when you say contacted by the ethics, that was only because they have to send out the annual ethics disclosure
It's for the financial
form.
disclosure.
Yes, it's
It
nothing.
wasn't on
Yeah.
the list, so in the future, we will be adding that to the ethics financial disclosure list.
So do I have a motion? Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
we do. Don.
We have a second. Motion made second. All those in favor? Councilor Burk, discussion possible vote regarding amendment to zoning ordinance to strike crematorium from the use table, Article 4, and make it prohibited use townwide in all zones, referred to the planning board for recommendation.
So, thank you, Madam President. I don't think I have to belabor the concerns that have been raised about the proposed crematorium in the north, on Main Road. north of Route 24, and any future possible crematoriums. So this, just to be clear, does not, if this went through the whole process, it does not affect any plans that are in place right now, so that, any applications that are already before the planning board, any vested applications before the planning board, or any existing crematoriums, which there is one on Rock Street. And we were contacted by Mr. Almeida from Pecasset Funeral Home about that one, which he owns, and wanting not to put a blanket moratorium across, or not blanket ban across town. But again, this would not affect his business there if it was passed through. Tonight, we are simply voting on whether or not to send the proposed amendment to the planning board for their statutorily required review against numerous areas. And I don't have that list in front of you, but they have a charge within the state statutes as to what they have to look at, including the comprehensive plan, and then come back to us with a recommendation as to whether or not they want to recommend that this be stricken or not recommend that this be stricken. From the day we send it to them, they have 45 days for that review and report back to us. From the day we send it to them, we have 60 days in which to hold a public hearing on the proposal. So this tonight is not a public hearing on that. This is simply starting the process. And I appreciate all of the input at various settings, public and private, so to speak, public media, and in public meetings, certainly at the planning board and some tonight, that folks have provided on their concerns about this. So this is an attempt to at least limit it going forward.
Any discussion? Deb?
I just have a question. So this would not retro back, you said, for
Vested applications.
but the planning board has not voted on this.
But they have an application in, under the current
So
ordinance.
just because the application is in, it would not retro?
Correct.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Would be for anything in the future.
Prospective only,
And
going forward.
So all this does is close the barn door after the horse is left.
Yeah. But you never know. There could be another
yeah, so,
person planning it somewhere else. You never know.
so am I correct in that by doing this tonight, no additional applications?
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
Because it's not final yet.
Okay, okay.
It has to go through the whole
Okay.
If this
process.
were, yeah, right, it's got to go through the process, so you can only adopt it after public hearing. Once you adopt it as a final ordinance after the public hearing at that date, then that closes the
Yes.
door. Correct.
Yes. Yes. Any other discussion? Okay, so we're going to vote to send this to the planning board.
Yes, and the proposed ordinance amendment striking crematorium from section 9, service business D, under, which is now an allowed use in certain districts, strike crematorium, and then also from the form-based code, and to prohibit it, add it to the prohibited section of the district use regulation, so it would no longer be permissible.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Unanimous. Okay, so, Council President DiMederos, I want to talk short-term rental council workshop again, but keep in mind we need more budget workshops too. So I'm going to combine this, if that's all right with the solicitor. We have a budget workshop on April 15th, and we have another one on the 17th. My plan, and I'll meet with the town administrator, will set certain town offices or town departments to come and talk to us on the 15th and the 17th. The school committee has asked me when we're planning on doing them. I think we need a few more, so I'm looking for availability for future meetings. I want to I'm away for the last weekend, I think so is Chris, last week in April. No,
I'm away April 22nd to May 8th.
okay. And I'm away April 26th to May 3rd.
In Hawaii.
So, so Chris, if we do,
I will say, though, to the extent I'm away and you people are available, there's not one department head or director that would not meet with you. They
Okay.
would definitely, I don't need to be there.
Okay.
All right, so,
so do you want to do another Saturday and another Monday on an off meeting? So I'll throw it out here. Do you want to do May 6th that's a Saturday, for another budget committee meeting, budget meeting?
When, with the new charter, do we have to have our,
It's a while. I had the time. It's in June.
no, the preliminary is before June?
I had it. I left it at home.
Here, let me look it up.
And as far as the short-term rental, that would depend on what Mike Marcello and Mike Burke thinks.
So we've had a discussion, a brief discussion after our council meeting, and Mike has given me some direction to get the language, so I'm working on that. I'm hoping to get it, I don't know, it's up to Mike, but I hope to get it maybe the second meeting in April with the revisions.
Do you want to do it during the meeting, or do you want
It's up to you.
I think we need a workshop for that again, too.
I think we need to make sure that we get it right, because we're seeing
Yeah.
with
That's fine.
all these other things, the crematorium, there's little
So-
loopholes in our,
So what I'm thinking is, suppose,
Madam President?
yes,
Preliminary Unified Budget Ordinance adoption, May 13th,
13th, yeah.
that's from all of us?
That's from the council.
from the council.
When was he supposed to get it to us? What's that date?
So we don't get
The-
the revenues till April 15th,
Yeah.
right?
The revenue's April 15th. And the Budget Committee prepares and submits to the council on April 25th.
Yeah, we,
But you have to remember, you have from May 13th, you need to schedule a public hearing, and then you can modify it after that. And just have to adopt the final unified budget ordinance by June 30th.
All right, so this means we have to, so we have one on the 15th and the 17th. I'm thinking
Anybody remember how many we had last year?
we had at least 4. And now we have to go over the school committee too, by the way.
So we're doing.
what's due May 30th? May 30th?
June 30th is the final ordinance.
June 30th.
Final ordinance.
But we have to get it into something.
Have to have a public hearing between May 13th and June 30th.
Oh, so we have a little,
Let me ask a question of everybody. Has everybody got a copy of the school budget?
no. Chris, we have to, some of us did.
I got one here.
To your house?
Yeah,
To your house?
yeah, we don't know
My
why.
understanding was the school department did send them out to you all. Did you all not get them?
not unless.
You did, John, you got
John,
one?
did you get one?
Joe, did you
Joe,
not get
did
one?
you?
Deb,
How did they send, no.
I think
I have one.
they delivered them.
It was in my mailbox, mine.
When?
Mine was in my
No,
mailbox.
hers was in her mailbox the first, because originally they only gave
It
it
was
to
like
her
2
and
weeks
myself.
ago.
I got
And
mine
then,
last week.
and we called and said, everybody needs it.
Right.
And so,
Nope.
So who doesn't have them?
I don't.
I don't. Everybody but Jay
I
and
doubt,
Denise.
I doubt that John has it.
I do.
Oh, John has it?
Did they
Okay.
deliver it to your house?
Yeah.
So why didn't anybody, that's weird.
Well, they asked me if I wanted.
So, and I'm assuming Dennis doesn't have it either. I will
assume Dennis
I will
doesn't.
have them drop 4 of them off here at least, and we will get them to you. We'll put them in your box.
Okay.
All
I
right,
just mentioned this because, the sooner the better, because that's a big one.
No, there's a lot.
do you want to
of
do you want to do,
Instead of. I'm not sure what you're asking.
They do trash.
we're going to have to do it for,
Yeah, I'm just asking.
yeah, so
Clean up all the crow stuff.
I'm trying to, well, I'm thinking we're going to have a couple before May 6th. if we
Yeah,
have to-
that's why I
just
said
asking,
in
yeah.
addition to or instead
I
of.
think in addition
Okay.
to.
So
I
we
think-
are going to do May 6th?
I think we should do May 6th, and we need another one in between. So we have one on Saturday, the 15th, and then immediately the next Monday, the 17th.
Yeah.
So do we do it on
And
the...
I know the library wants to be at one of those.
Right. So do we do it, and me and you will sit down like we did last year? April 22nd or the 25th?
This is 22nd of Friday.
The 22nd is a Saturday, the 25th is a Tuesday.
I'd rather do it the Tuesday.
So that's back-to-back council meetings?
Yep.
It'd be a council meeting and that, yeah, I know.
What about the 22nd? We'll just bang it out on Saturday morning.
May 22nd?
No, April.
April.
We also have a town council meeting on the 24th.
Yeah, we're gonna be busy for about a couple of weeks.
Oh, well,
You're just deferring a couple of months. It's usually already been done by now.
Yeah.
budget season.
Deb, are you available April 22nd?
Yes.
Mike? Joe, no, right? Oh, Joe, what?
Not before 11, no. But you don't need me.
Well, we'll do it 9, and then, well, last year you joined us. You text me to
right,
see if
later
we
on,
were
yep.
still going on. Yeah.
Any particular departments you don't want to be done while you're not there?
Well, 22nd.
Any particular departments you don't want done while you're not available?
Okay, so we'll do April 27 at 9 o'clock.
22nd.
22nd,
22nd.
sorry, guys. And then, you want to do another Saturday, May 6th?
Yep.
Okay.
So 4/15, 4/17, 4/22, and 5/6?
We don't need it.
We'll schedule it.
Okay.
And what I'm thinking of, we'll make that the school one,
Which day?
May 6th, on a Saturday. I'm gonna need a long time for them.
You might need 2 days.
I might need 2 days, but let's see what we do. And as far as short-term rentals, why don't we wait a little bit until I figure,
Yeah.
until we get this
And
done?
that'll give Mike and I time.
Yeah,
May 13th is what?
9 o'clock, I believe. It's a Saturday.
nothing.
9.
No.
Oh.
We
May
have,
That's the
13th
day
is
that
the
you
day.
you have to have something published for you
Just
to start the process to get to June 30th.
Yeah, so our May 8th meeting, we have to approve a
Unified.
preliminary budget.
well, the reason I ask that is if we even suspect that the school is going to take 2 sessions, and we're having one of them on May 6th, that's getting pretty close.
Well, what I was thinking is,
We'll be back
We-
on May 8th then at the regular meeting.
yeah, that's what I was thinking. May 8th, I'll just clear the agenda. Except for important things, if that's okay with everybody. Like something that has to be voted on.
No, we got to do it.
Yeah. Will I be home? Yes, I will be.
You said you'd be home. on the
Yeah, I'll be home the 3rd.
On the 3rd?
I'll be home May 3rd.
So what,
All right, so you got that, Joan?
nope, I didn't get that last one.
I don't blame you for not getting it.
4/22,
April
5/6.
15th, April 17th, April 22nd, May 6th, May 8th.
Well, May 8th is our regular meeting anyway. May 8th is our regular meeting. I just may have to clear the agenda for it.
So May 8th is the Monday, and May 13th is the Saturday that you would have to have a preliminary budget
Yeah, I'm
adopted.
hoping May 8th will do that. And that's just the preliminary, that can always be changed.
Right.
Okay.
And we'll know May 8th if we're in trouble and we need to.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So, we're gonna go into executive.
Before you do that, as we do the budget hearings, I'm assuming you want to definitely see all the departments, the major departments. To the extent that you've got a compressed issue, if anybody wants a board or commission, or, we can schedule those in, but I would prefer you contact the council president, and we can put them on the agendas for you, but most of them are just their annual.
Yeah, they don't-
I don't know if you want to bring all those people in, so.
I don't, last year, it was only one that asked to be with us, it was recreation, because they had a lot of
They've
stuff.
got pretty big money, so I count them as a department now.
Yeah. Okay, so,
Our May 17th is at 6 o'clock, we had said, just as a reminder.
our April,
April 17th.
yeah, April 17th is at 6.
Oh, it's at 6?
Yeah. Okay.
How about 15th?
9 a.m. for April 15th. April 17th, 6 p.m. April 22nd, 9 a.m. May 6th, 9 a.m., and that's the school. And then May 8th,
Okay.
our regular council meeting.
All right, so we're going to go into executive, but at this point, I'd like to add, I would like to entertain a motion pursuant to Rhode Island GL 42466B to add for discussion only in executive session the following item. Executive session pursuant to Rhode Island GL 42465A and A6, discussion related to the sale of publicly held property in the industrial park and related to a prospective business located in the state town where an open meeting would be determined effect. I'm sorry, it's detrimental effect on the interests of the public. So I'm going to motion this will be a separate motion. So I'm making the motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion been made in second, all those in favor?
Yes.
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 All right, so then we'll go to the others. I'm going to do them all together, but I just want to do this.
They're all litigation,
Yeah.
so.
Rhode Island GL 4246A, preliminary discussion vote to procure special legal advice, services related to zoning and planning development changes and amendments and potential litigation. Solicitor Marcello, Rhode Island GA 42465A, litigation related to national opiate settlements, update on litigation, proposed national settlements with Teva, Allergan, CVS, Walgreens, and Walmart, and the authority to sign and execute settlement agreement due by April 18th, 2023. Solicitor Marcello, Rhode Island GL 42465A, litigation Highland Ridge Farm v. Town of Tiverton, update on mediation effects and future and further action in litigation by the town. Solicitor Marcello, Rhode Island GL 4246A, Tracy Haywood and Porter of Tiverton v. Town of Tiverton, zoning board of review, update on new litigation appealing decision of Tiverton zoning board of February 23, 2023, overturning denial of master plan approval of planning board for projected located at plot 118, lot 264, South Main and Sousa Road. Assistant Solicitor Romano, Rhode Island General Law 42465A, 2, Town of Tiverton v. Longplex and Tiverton Zoning Board of Appeals, updated on town's motion to stay 3/24/2023, hearing and pending matters.
Yes.
Second.
Go ahead, Joe. Yes.
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 Was there a motion made?
I made the motion.
Second.
I seconded it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All those in favor, we did the yes.
Yes.
Okay.